To moderate this session, we are honored to have Vice Admiral K. Swaminathan, AVSM, VSM, Vice Chief of the Naval Staff, whose erudition and sagacity are too well known to bear any great elaboration by me. So without further ado, sir, I hand over the proceedings to you.
Excellencies, Admiral Sunil Lamba, former CNS, Admiral Karimbir Singh, former CNS and Chairman, NMF, Vice Admiral G. Ashok Kumar, National Maritime Security Coordinator, Vice Admiral Suraj Berry, CNC SFC, Vice Admiral Pradeep Chauhan, Director General, NMF, esteemed panelists, distinguished veterans, guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon to all of you. The first professional session yesterday morning, you would recall, highlighted the complex interplay of resource, geopolitics, and security in the Indo-Pacific from the perspective of littoral states in or bordering the South China Sea. We had Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, the Philippines, and South Korea represented at that. At the Chaupal Pe Charcha yesterday afternoon, we had very distinguished diplomats from the EU, Indonesia, France, and Australia, enlightening us on their views on the region and its resource-based geopolitics. The professional session this morning provided us an insight into the dynamics of the region as seen by learned scholars from the United States, Japan, the UK, Germany, and France. It is now my honor and pleasant duty to welcome all of you to this third professional session as a moderator for the discussions this afternoon. The chairman of the NMF yesterday morning very evocatively described the situation in the world's oceans as being precarious. That, of course, applies to the Indo-Pacific region as well. Lack of legislation to counter non-traditional or quote-unquote gray zone threats and limit the exploration of sea-based resources, climate change and its impact on littoral and island nations, biodiversity loss and depletion of entire ecosystems, interstate rivalry and revisionist behavior, and the weaponization of virtually everything from disruptive technologies to natural resources. All of this are the realities of this region. And we just heard a fascinating address by Admiral Ashok Kumar, who just told us about the complexities of pursuing maritime security in a region as contested as this, especially when there are so many contested maritime boundaries. So how do we see the situation that we face in the Indo-Pacific today, especially in the maritime domain? A single wrong call, miscommunication, misjudgment, or miscalculation could tip a delicate balance that sees cooperation residing alongside conflict and collaboration coexisting with contestation and confrontation. All of these, of course, have profound impacts on the lives of societies and nations alike. Some key characteristics of the Indo-Pacific were discussed yesterday. Please allow me to provide you some more, especially those that are relevant to today's session. Being home to several key connectivity projects, the Indo-Pacific accommodates two large and mutually competitive initiatives of our times, both with very significant geopolitical underpinnings. The Belt and Road Initiative of China and the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework for Prosperity that was launched by the United States. 9 of the 10 busiest ports of the world are located in this region, catering to over 60% of the world's seaborne trade. The region is the world's most biodiverse area, being home to about 1/3 of the world's shallow water fish. The Indo-Malay-Philippine archipelago is perhaps one of the world's top biodiversity hotspots. 40 or more sea-related disputes exist among countries of the Indo-Pacific, with several nations testing each other's threshold for conflict every day in very, very serious and tense situations. The largest number of terrorist incidents that are relatable to the sea have occurred in this region. The Bali bombings of 2002, the bombing of Super Ferry 14 in the Philippines in 2004, and the 26/11 attack in Mumbai in 2008 are incidents that are fresh in our memories even today. IUU fishing in the Indo-Pacific is destroying ecosystems, affecting livelihoods, and depleting the environment very significantly. The maximum number of countries performing poorly as per the IUU fishing index are from the Indo-Pacific region. The region also leads in the great game of the 21st century, the pursuit of rare earth elements. It is rich in polymetallic sulfides, polymetallic nodules, and cobalt-rich crusts, and boasts of the largest number of contracts awarded to date by the International Seabed Authority for exploration of these elements. This professional session 3 shall perhaps delve into all of these aspects through very thought-provoking presentations by an extremely eminent panel that will, 1, identify current market trends driving the global rush to explore the finite and volatile resources of our oceans. 2, examine the efficacy of existing frameworks like the UNCLOS, ISA, and other environmental and social guidelines in an increasingly contested maritime space. 3, identify mechanisms, both cooperative and collaborative, that seek to de-risk maritime supply chains and enable the transition to a green economy through decarbonization. And 4, reflect on the benefits of transformative technologies such as AI, machine learning, generative intelligence, and big data to identify policy guidelines that can prevent irreparable damage to fragile ecosystems. In sum, this session adopts the theme, and this is my own coinage, management of conflict over resources in the Indo-Pacific through identification of policy frameworks, alternative supply chains, and new technological avenues for collaboration and capacity building. Apart from shedding light once again on the realities of resource geopolitics on littoral states of the Indo-Pacific, this session, I hope, will offer us 2 viewpoints of island states, one each from the Indian and Pacific Oceans, on their vision of a blue economy and their proposals to negotiate geopolitical circumstances through inclusive dialogue, capacity building, and environmental issues. The session, as you know, has 5 very eminent speakers, each with a stellar resume that I'm sure all of you have seen in the conference booklet. Please allow me to provide you a very brief introduction of each of these eminent scholars. Mr. Mahadevan Shankar, core committee member of the Current and Strategic Affairs Forum, will commence the session with his comments on contemporary maritime impacts of the year 2024, critical minerals bubble burst, identifying new maritime opportunities. He will be followed by Admiral Jayanta Pereira, former commander of the Sri Lanka Navy, who will speak on the topic geopolitical impact of great and middle powers upon Sri Lanka's transition to a blue economy. The third speaker, Dr. Ms. Eva Peshova, a Japan chair at the Center for Security, Diplomacy and Strategy of the Brussels School of Governance, will then speak on the subject, de-risking maritime supply chains within the Indo-Pacific. She will be followed by Mr. Atul Tripathi, a renowned consultant on big data and artificial intelligence, who shall delve upon resource exploration challenges in the Indo-Pacific, geopolitical milieu, AI, generative intelligence, and quantum computing. And finally, we shall have Ambassador Peter Ilau, former CDF of the Papua New Guinea Defense Forces, and former ambassador of the PNG to Indonesia, who will enlighten us on the theme extra-regional resource-driven geopolitics in the South Pacific. So, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of all of you, it is my pleasure and honor to once again welcome these distinguished speakers on the stage. And without much further ado, I invite the first speaker, Mr. Mahadevan Shankar, to please take the podium.